Is something happening to our world right now that we were never meant to ignore? Nowadays, the pace feels different, faster, heavier, as if everything is being pulled toward a moment we cannot yet see. Across the sky, perfect rings expand with unnatural precision. Flocks of birds snap into formation in perfect unity. Lines of light ignite, dance, then vanish without a trace. A spiral cuts through the darkness. Clouds churn and roll like a violent ocean above our heads, and that was only the beginning. Elsewhere, a silent, glowing object drifts with no sound and no origin. The ground begins to rise and distort, as if something beneath is pushing upward. Unknown crafts hover in stillness above sacred waters. Fire burns from deep within the earth, and now war erupts, tearing through cities and shaking everything we once believed was stable. Have you felt how different everything has become? Where is all of this leading? And how much time do we really have before it is too late to understand? The closer we look, the harder it becomes to dismiss what is unfolding. Because the 10 events you are about to see do not just appear randomly, they begin to form a pattern that challenges everything we think we know about this reality. Let's find out right away with the first one. 1. Sky moving in perfect circles. Off the coast of Key West, Florida, what began as an ordinary fishing trip suddenly turned into a moment that no one there could explain. The sky above them did not drift like it always had. It moved with intention. Perfect rings of clouds formed and expanded outward, one after another, like ripples spreading across water, yet nothing had touched the surface. It was too precise, too controlled, too deliberate to ignore. In that moment, the sky no longer felt distant. It felt alive, as if something beyond human understanding had reached down and gently stirred the heavens themselves. And those who witnessed it could only stare upward, asking the same question in silence. What are we really looking at? The footage spread quickly, drawing attention from thousands who watched those expanding rings again and again, trying to make sense of their flawless symmetry. Some called it rare, others called it beautiful, but many felt something deeper, something unsettling, because creation does not move without purpose. The sky is not random, it is spoken into existence. And when it begins to behave in ways that feel intentional, it forces a question that cannot be easily dismissed. Was this just a moment or a message? Was this simply a formation or a sign that something unseen is beginning to move? Genesis 1 verse 6-8 speaks of the sky not as empty space, but as something formed by the command of God. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God called the firmament heaven. If the heavens were created by His word, then every movement within them carries meaning. Nothing shifts without His awareness. Nothing forms without His authority. And when patterns appear that feel too perfect, too ordered, too deliberate, it becomes harder to believe that we are simply witnessing coincidence. Some attempted to explain these formations, giving them names, categorizing them, trying to fit them into systems that feel safe and understandable. But even with those explanations, one detail remains. Precision like this does not feel accidental. It feels designed. It feels guided. Like a rhythm that was always there, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. A hidden order beneath the surface of everything we thought we understood. Psalm 19 verse 1-2 declares something that echoes through moments like this. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth His handiwork. Day to day uttereth speech, and night unto night sheweth knowledge. The sky does not stay silent, it speaks. Not always in words, but in signs, in patterns, in movements that stir something deep within those who are willing to look up and truly see. And yet, doubt lingers. Was it only a rare, natural occurrence? A brief alignment of conditions that just happened to create something beautiful? That is what many choose to believe, because the alternative is far more unsettling. If the heavens are speaking, then the question is no longer what we saw, but whether we are ready to understand what is being shown. Because if this was only the beginning, only the faintest ripple across the surface of the sky, then what happens when the patterns grow stronger, clearer, impossible to ignore? What happens when the signs no longer feel distant, but undeniable? 2. 1,000 wings. one unseen force. In a quiet market in Italy, the rhythm of an ordinary day was suddenly interrupted by something above. A man looked up and stopped where he stood. Thousands of birds filled the sky, shifting, turning, folding into patterns that changed in an instant. Shapes formed and dissolved with a precision that felt almost unreal. The movement carried a strange fluidity, like a single living body stretching across the air. Every turn happened at once. Every shift aligned perfectly. The sky did not feel empty anymore. It felt directed. No signal, no leader, no delay. The motion unfolded too quickly for the eye to predict. Wings beat in perfect timing, entire formations bending and reshaping without hesitation. One moment they stretched wide across the horizon. The next, they condensed into tight, intricate patterns, only to expand again as if following instructions that no one could hear. People below paused, watching something that did not feel random. The speed alone made it unsettling. There was no trial, no error, no correction, only immediate response, only precision. The footage spread, drawing attention from those who tried to slow it down frame by frame, searching for any break in the pattern. None appeared. The birds did not collide, did not drift apart, did not lose alignment. What emerged was not just coordination, but unity on a scale that felt impossible to control. It resembled a message written across the sky, not in words, but in motion. And the more it was watched, the stronger the question became: what could guide something like this so completely? Job 12, verse 7-9, reveals a truth that echoes through scenes like this. But ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this? The creatures of the sky do not move outside his design. Their patterns, their timing, their unity, all exist within an order that was established long before we ever looked up to question it. And when that order becomes visible, it carries meaning. Some try to explain it through instinct, through reaction, through natural systems refined over time. Yet explanations struggle to match what is seen: instant alignment, perfect timing, continuous flow without disruption. Instinct may guide movement, but this looked like direction. It looked like something shaping motion from beyond what can be measured. And that difference leaves a weight that cannot be easily dismissed. Matthew 10, verse 29-31 speaks with clarity. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father? Fear ye not therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. Every movement is seen, every motion is known. And when thousands move together with such flawless unity, it reflects more than behavior. It reflects awareness, control, and purpose under his authority. The image lingers long after the sky returns to normal, patterns forming and dissolving with impossible speed, unity held without a visible source, motion that feels guided rather than free. And it leaves behind a quiet realization: if something so small can move with such perfect alignment, then what happens when that same unseen order begins to reveal itself in ways far brighter, far harder to ignore? 3. Dancing lights in the darkness. The night did not remain still. Across a darkened sky, thin strands of yellow light suddenly appeared, stretching, twisting, and moving as if they were alive. They did not flash once and disappear. They lingered, shifting direction, dancing in smooth, controlled motions before fading and reappearing again. The movement felt rhythmic, almost intentional, like invisible hands were guiding each line through the darkness. It was not chaotic, it was ordered, and that order made it impossible to look away. The footage spread quickly, drawing thousands into the same moment of unease. People replayed the clip, slowing it down, trying to understand what they were seeing. The lights did not collide, did not scatter, did not behave like anything familiar. They moved in sequence, appearing and vanishing with a precision that felt deliberate. Some described it as beautiful. Others felt something far more unsettling, because beauty does not usually carry this kind of control. This felt like an activity. Something was moving, something was operating in the sky. Joel 2 verse 30 to 31 speaks of signs that appear beyond human expectation. And I will shew wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come. These are not quiet changes. They are visible, undeniable moments that interrupt the normal order of the world. When lights begin to move in ways that feel guided, it reflects something more than chance. It reflects a sign being revealed. Many attempt to explain these lights, placing them into categories, calling them rare atmospheric effects, unusual electrical activity, or distant reflections. But those explanations arrive after the moment has already been spoken, because what remains is not the label, but the feeling. The lights did not behave randomly. They followed patterns. They held formation. They moved with purpose. And purpose does not emerge without design. It suggests that something greater is at work, something not bound by human understanding. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares a truth that cannot be ignored. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Nothing appears without timing. Nothing moves without reason. And when signs begin to manifest in the sky with such precision, it signals that a moment is unfolding according to a purpose far beyond what we can see. The heavens are not silent. They are active. They are revealing. Still, doubt lingers in the minds of many. Some choose to believe it was nothing more than a rare phenomenon, a coincidence captured at the right moment. Yet that explanation struggles against the image itself. Lights that move with rhythm, with coordination, with consistency, do not feel accidental. They feel directed. And that is where the unease begins to grow. Because once movement appears intentional, it raises a deeper question about what is guiding it. Revelation 12:12 carries a warning that echoes through moments like this. Therefore, rejoice, ye heavens, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. The heavens are not empty. They are part of a greater unfolding, a space where signs, warnings, and movements reveal what is taking place beyond human sight. When something begins to move within that space, it is not without meaning. What was seen that night does not fade easily. The image of those lights remains, not because of how bright they were, but because of how they moved, controlled, intentional, present. And that leaves behind a question that cannot be ignored. Was it only light passing through darkness? Or was it something far more aware, briefly revealing itself before disappearing again? Because if something is already moving above us, then what we have seen so far may only be the beginning of something much closer than we realize. 4. Spiral cuts through the sky. On the night of the 28th of October 2025, the darkness over Quetta, Pakistan, was suddenly torn open without warning. A radiant white beam rose into the sky and began to twist, forming a perfect spiral that held its shape with unsettling precision. It did not flicker or fade. It stayed, expanding slowly, glowing intensely, like something had marked a point in the heavens. People stopped where they stood. Phones came out. Voices dropped. Because this did not feel like something passing through. It felt like something was arriving. Within hours, the footage was everywhere. Millions watched the same spiral unfold across their screens, replaying it, slowing it down, searching for meaning. The light did not behave like something unstable. It rotated with control, steady and deliberate, casting an eerie glow across the horizon. The longer people watched, the heavier the atmosphere became. This was no longer a local sighting. It had become a global moment, one image shared across the world, forcing the same question into millions of minds at the same time. Revelation 6, verse 12 to 13, describes a time when the heavens begin to break their silence. And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. These are not gentle changes. They are disruptions that interrupt the natural order, moments when the sky itself begins to shift in ways that demand attention. What appeared over Quetta carried that same weight. Not quiet, not subtle, impossible to ignore. Some still try to contain it within explanations, linking it to distant launches or human activity. Yet something about that spiral resists reduction. It did not scatter. It did not distort. It held form like a symbol, clear and intentional. The shape remained too precise, too structured, too composed to feel accidental. And that is where the tension builds. Because when something looks designed, the mind begins to search for a designer. Jeremiah 10:2 gives a warning that feels closer in moments like this. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. The signs will appear, but not everyone will understand them. Some will dismiss them. Others will feel the weight behind them. The difference lies not in what is seen, but in how it is received. This was not random. It was placed. And if something has begun to mark the sky with this level of clarity, then the next question becomes unavoidable. Because when the heavens start speaking in symbols that are visible, what happens when the message no longer stays above, but begins to press down into the world below? 5. Massive cloud layers built up like a collapsing ocean. On the 6th of October 2025, across Ontario and Quebec in Canada, the sky pressed down in a way no one had experienced before. Dark clouds did not simply gather, they stacked, layer upon layer, thickening until the horizon looked burdened by its own weight. Massive formations rolled forward like waves, but there was no flow, only pressure building, rising, folding inward as if the sky itself was carrying something too heavy to hold. The air felt dense. Breathing felt slower. People stood still, not because they were amazed, but because something in their body told them this was not normal. The movement did not rush past. It lingered, expanding across the horizon, compressing the space between sky and earth. Each wave-like formation pushed into the next, tightening, collapsing, reforming, with a force that felt contained rather than released. It looked like a storm, yet it behaved like pressure under strain. The longer it lasted, the more it felt like something was building rather than passing. People did not just look, they felt it. Psalm 107, verse 25-26, describes a force that rises under command. For he commandeth and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof. They mount up to heaven. They go down again to the depths. Their soul is melted because of trouble. When waves are lifted beyond their place, when motion becomes overwhelming, it reflects authority that does not ask permission. What appeared in that sky carried the same sense of command, something being held, then pushed, then held again. Explanations followed quickly, assigning names, placing the formations into categories that feel manageable. Yet none of those words remove the physical weight captured in that moment. The clouds did not create distance, they reduced it. The sky no longer felt far away. It felt lowered, compressed, almost within reach. And that shift changes everything, because once the sky feels closer, it no longer feels separate. Luke 21, verse 25, speaks of a time marked by pressure and confusion. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. The image does not stay contained to the ocean. It rises, it transfers, it appears where it should not. When the boundary breaks, the meaning changes. What was once stable begins to feel uncertain. Attention eventually drifts, the footage ends, and the sky returns to something familiar. Yet the impression remains, not of beauty, not of curiosity, but of weight that had nowhere to go. And when pressure builds without release, it does not disappear. It moves, it shifts, and it finds another place to surface. 6. Silent light, watching from above. There are moments when silence becomes heavier than sound, and this was one of them. Over North Carolina, a pale white light appeared in the night sky and held its place without warning. It glowed softly, a faint tail stretching behind it, suspended in a way that felt deliberate rather than accidental. No one spoke, no one moved. Conversations stopped mid-sentence, footsteps slowed, and every eye fixed on something that refused to explain itself. The night did not feel empty anymore. It felt occupied. The light did not rush across the sky or fade like something passing through. It remained steady, controlled, almost patient, as though time itself had slowed around it. Its presence created a tension that words could not fully capture. People kept watching, waiting for it to behave like something familiar, but it never did. It held its position just long enough to leave a mark, not on the sky, but on those who were staring up at it. Zechariah 4:10 presents an image that feels uncomfortably close to moments like this. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel, with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro through the whole earth. The idea that something moves with awareness, crossing the earth while seeing everything beneath it, has long been written, and sometimes that awareness feels less like comfort and more like exposure. Attempts to define the object followed quickly, placing it into categories that feel controlled and distant. Yet none of those explanations change what the moment felt like. The stillness was too complete. The presence was too intentional. It did not behave like something lost in the sky. It behaved like something that knew exactly where it was. Hebrews 4:13 speaks with a clarity that cuts deeper in moments like this. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight. But all things are naked and opened unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. Nothing escapes that gaze. Nothing moves outside of it. And when something appears above that, carries a sense of awareness, it forces a realization that is difficult to shake. It did not feel like we were observing it. The light eventually moved on, fading back into the darkness without leaving a trace behind. Yet the feeling did not leave with it. It stayed, quiet and persistent, like a question that no one could fully answer. And as that silence settled back in, attention began to shift downward towards something far less distant and far more unsettling. 7. Even the ground begins to break. A quiet stretch of countryside road suddenly turned into something no one could recognize. A driver slowed down, then stopped completely, staring ahead as the surface of the pavement began to rise, not collapse, not crack, rise. The shape of the road shifted in slow, uneven pulses, like something beneath it was pushing upward without fully breaking through. No sound explained it. No impact caused it. Just movement, coming from below, steady and controlled enough to feel intentional. The camera kept recording, but the moment felt heavier than what the screen could hold. The ground, something people trust without thinking, no longer felt stable. It moved in a way that did not belong to anything familiar. Each lift, each distortion, carried tension, like a boundary being tested. The ground was not breaking. It was resisting something. And that realization changes the entire scene. Numbers 16 verse 31-33 describes a moment where the earth itself responds. And it came to pass that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up. And they went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them. The earth is not just a surface to walk on. It can open, it can act, and when it does not ask for permission. Explanations try to follow, reducing the moment to pressure shifts, underground movement, rare but natural causes. Yet none of those words remove the tension captured in that footage. The movement did not feel chaotic. It felt contained, held back, like something beneath was pressing against a limit that had not yet been released. Revelation 9, verse 1-2 speaks of something sealed below the surface. And I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. There are depths described as closed, restrained, waiting for a moment when they are allowed to open. When the ground begins to shift like this, it no longer feels like a random disturbance. It feels like pressure, building toward a point. The road eventually settles, the surface returns, and everything appears normal again. But the image does not leave. Because once the ground itself begins to resist what lies beneath it, the idea of safety starts to fracture. Attention no longer stays in the sky. It turns downward, toward what has always been hidden, and toward the possibility that it may not stay hidden for long. 8. Two unknown objects hovered without sound or movement. People felt watched, not from the ground, but from above. Along the banks of the Ganga River in Balpur, India, a quiet evening shifted without warning as two glowing, disc-like objects appeared in the sky. They held their position with unnatural stillness, then moved together in perfect alignment, maintaining distance, maintaining control, as if following something unseen. No sound, no signal. Just presence. Phones were raised, voices lowered, and attention locked onto something that did not behave like anything familiar. The footage spread quickly, and with it came a growing tension. These objects did not hesitate or drift. Their motion felt measured, almost aware, like they were not just moving through space but operating within it. People began to question what they were seeing, not just in terms of origin, but intention. Because movement like that does not feel empty, it feels directed, and once that thought takes hold, it becomes difficult to ignore. Colossians 1 verse 16 to 17 offers a perspective that reaches beyond what can be measured. For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. And by him all things consist. Not everything that exists is meant to be understood at once. There are things unseen that still remain active, ordered, and known. What appears in the sky does not always reveal its nature, but it can reveal its presence. Explanations followed, pointing toward hidden technology or classified operations, ideas that attempt to contain the unknown within something human. Yet none of those answers settle the deeper feeling left behind. The stillness was too precise. The coordination is too exact. The silence was too complete. It did not feel like something passing by. It felt like something was aware. Isaiah 55, verse 8 to 9, speaks into that distance between what is seen and what is known. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. The gap between human understanding and divine order is not small. Moments like this expose it without warning. The objects eventually faded, leaving no trace behind, no confirmation, no closure, yet the tension did not disappear with them. Because once the idea of being watched settles in, it does not easily leave. And as that feeling lingers, attention begins to shift again, away from the sky, towards something far more immediate, where the next sign does not hover above, but burns from below. 9. Flames kept rising from the ground in the middle of nowhere. In the vast silence of the desert, where nothing moves and nothing speaks, a man came across something that shattered that stillness completely. A circular pit opened before him, and from its depths, flames surged upward with an intensity that did not feel natural. The fire did not weaken or fade. It rose continuously, casting a burning glow across the barren land, as if the earth itself had been opened to reveal something hidden beneath. This was not just heat. It carried weight, presence, something that did not belong to the surface of the world. As the footage spread, people struggled to process what they were seeing. Some tried to connect it to impact, to hidden forces, to unknown events that could leave behind such a mark. Yet the image resisted explanation. A pit that burns without stopping, a depth that holds fire without end, a place where light does not comfort but consumes. It did not feel unfamiliar. It felt remembered, like something described long before anyone ever captured it on camera. This was not a symbol. Revelation 20 verse 14 to 15 declares a reality that stands unshaken. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Fire, in this form, is not simply destruction, it is judgment. It is final. And when something appears in the world that mirrors that image so closely, it carries a weight that goes beyond curiosity. The flames did not behave like something temporary. They endured, steady and consuming, without sign of release. That persistence changes everything. It no longer feels like a passing moment. It feels like a glimpse, a brief opening into something that exists beyond what is normally seen. The desert became more than empty land. It became a reminder for quote, end quote. Mark 9, verse 43 speaks with a directness that does not soften its meaning. The fire that never shall be quenched, a fire that does not go out, a place that does not release what it holds. The scene eventually fades, and silence returns to the desert. Yet, the image remains, fixed and unshaken. Because once something like this is seen, it does not leave the mind easily. It changes how everything else is understood. What once felt distant now feels connected. What once looked like isolated moments now begins to form a pattern. And slowly, almost quietly, a realization begins to take shape. The signs were never separate. They were leading somewhere, not upward anymore, but here. 10. From signs in the sky to real war on earth. Right now, war is unfolding between the United States, Israel, and Iran, a conflict that has already stretched into weeks and continues to intensify with no clear end in sight. Strikes have escalated across the region. Retaliation follows retaliation, and the pressure has not eased. It has only grown heavier with each passing day. Across Israel, missiles tear through the night, carving lines of fire across the darkness before crashing into cities below. Buildings collapse, flames rise, and the air fills with sirens and fear. In Gush Dan, people run without direction, driven only by the instinct to survive. What once appeared as distant lights above has now become destruction that cannot be escaped. This is no longer something to watch. It is something to endure. The conflict spreads beyond a single place, stretching across borders, pulling entire regions into its weight. Along the Lebanon frontier, tension hardens into action, and action turns into continuous retaliation. Each strike leads to another. Each moment of silence breaks again. Numbers rise, but numbers cannot carry the full weight of what is happening. Homes are lost, families are separated, and fear settles into daily life. War is no longer an event. It becomes an atmosphere people are forced to breathe. In the midst of this, a voice still calls for something different. Pope Leo XIV urges the world to stop, to lay down weapons, to choose dialogue over destruction. His call is simple, yet heavy. Humanity was not created for this. His prayer for March 2026 focuses on disarmament and peace, a reminder that even now, another path exists. But that path demands a decision, one that grows harder with every explosion that echoes across the earth. Isaiah 2-4 speaks of a future that feels distant in moments like this. And he shall judge among the nations, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. This is the world as it was meant to be. And yet what we see now stands in complete contrast, revealing just how far humanity has moved from that design. Revelation 6-4 reveals the deeper layer behind it all. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. This is not random. Peace does not simply disappear without cause. Something greater is unfolding. Something written long before these moments began, now revealing itself step by step. Everything now connects. What we have witnessed are not isolated moments, but signs forming a greater picture. From shifting skies and moving flocks to rising fire and war, each event points toward a world being shaken in ways that echo what the Bible has already foretold. This is not coincidence, but convergence. Not randomness, but a pattern slowly revealing itself before our eyes, and in the middle of it, a quiet truth begins to rise. This is a call to awaken, a call to return to prayer, to seek God while there is still time, and to place your trust not in what is seen, but in the one who remains unshaken above it all. Because when everything begins to shift, when the ground feels uncertain and the sky no longer feels distant, faith becomes the only solid ground that does not move. If this message has spoken to you in any way, take a moment to leave a prayer or your thoughts in the comments below. Sometimes, a single prayer can reach further than we ever imagine. And if you feel this message matters, like, share, and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. These moments are unfolding quickly, and staying aware may matter more than we realize. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for taking this seriously. May God watch over you and your family, guide your path, strengthen your faith, and fill your heart with peace, even in uncertain times. Amen.
They're real clear in here, look.
Yeah,
Look
you
at that.
can see them, can't you?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Hi, Jesus. You're so beautiful.
What if the signs appearing across the skies right now aren't random at all, but urgent warnings sent directly from God? What if the heavens themselves are declaring His power while the world refuses to listen? In a matter of moments, the sky turns blood red, crows swarm and circle with purpose, clouds shift violently, a massive hand stretches across the heavens, a radiant cross ignites in the darkness. The image of Jesus forms in light and mist across nations. Crowds run in awe and fear, and a fragile child calmly whispers that he has seen Him. Some call them natural, others are not so sure, but the undeniable hand of God calling His people back. Have you felt that something is changing? Something you can't fully explain? Or have you been ignoring it, hoping it will simply pass? Because if these are truly His signs, then this is no longer curiosity. It becomes a question of time. So don't look away now, because what you are about to witness may change everything you believe. Let's begin right away with the first sign. 1. The sky turned the color blood. The heavens themselves suddenly changed color, not by chance, but by the will of God. In a quiet moment, the sky ignites into a deep, terrifying red, as if creation itself is crying out under His command, and people freeze in fear, staring upward, unable to understand why the world above them no longer looks the same. The light fades into darkness, but the unease remains, heavy and suffocating, as if something far greater has just begun. Reports describe entire regions witnessing this unnatural transformation, where the sky did not simply glow, it burned, spreading across the horizon like a warning written in fire, stopping conversations, halting movement, and forcing everyone to look up. There were no machines, no human interference, only the overwhelming presence of something beyond control, something that felt intentional, as if the Creator Himself had painted the sky to send a message no one could ignore. Joel 2:30-31 declares this long ago. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. These words do not describe coincidence. They describe a moment when God Himself begins to reveal His power, a moment when the natural order bends to His will. Some have tried to speak of dust, of light, of particles in the atmosphere, but such explanations feel empty in the face of what was seen, because this was not just color, it was a presence, a warning that pressed into the hearts of those who witnessed it. When God speaks through creation, no human explanation can silence it, and no theory can erase the weight of what the soul feels in that moment. Revelation 6:12 speaks with even greater intensity. And I beheld, when He had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. These are not distant words. They are living warnings, echoes of a time when the world will no longer be able to deny what is unfolding before their eyes. So what happens when the sky itself begins to change? When the heavens no longer remain silent? When the signs written thousands of years ago begin to appear one by one? If this was only the beginning, then what follows may be far more impossible to ignore, because the next sign does not come from the sky alone. It comes from the creatures moving beneath it. 2. The day the birds moved with purpose. What if the creatures of the earth are seeing something long before we do, and responding to the voice of God while humanity remains blind? Without warning, the skies above a quiet town in Israel erupt into motion as hundreds of crows surge upward at once, circling, tightening, folding into each other in a dark, hypnotic pattern that refuses to break, as if an unseen force is holding them in place, commanding them to return again and again to the same point in the sky. People stop, stare, and feel something shift deep inside, because this is not random movement. This feels ordered, intentional, almost like a signal written in motion. Witnesses describe how the birds did not scatter or behave like a flock searching for food, but instead moved with chilling precision, looping in repeated paths, hovering, descending, rising again, as if responding to something invisible that only they could sense. The air itself seemed heavier, quieter, as though creation was holding its breath. And the longer the crows remained, the stronger the feeling grew that this was not normal behavior, but a reaction, a response, as if the natural world was aligning itself under a command far greater than human understanding. Hosea 4:3 speaks with unsettling clarity about moments like this. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. When even the birds of the heavens begin to act outside their nature, it is not without meaning. It is not without cause. It is a reflection that something deeper is shifting under the authority of God, something that reaches beyond what human eyes can fully see. So why did they return to the same point again and again, speaking of instinct, magnetic fields, or unseen environmental changes? Those explanations fall apart when faced with the precision, the repetition, the almost disciplined formation of the birds, because instinct does not create patterns that feel deliberate, and nature does not repeat itself with such intensity without reason. This did not feel like survival behavior. It felt like obedience, as if even the smallest creatures were responding to a call that humanity has chosen to ignore. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us of a truth many forget. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. If there is a time appointed for all things, then even this moment, even the circling of these birds, may be part of a greater unfolding, a signal woven into creation itself, pointing toward a time that has already been written, a time that cannot be stopped. And if the sky has already turned red, and now the birds of the air begin to gather, move, and respond in ways that defy understanding, then the question becomes impossible to ignore. What are they reacting to, and why now? Because if creation is already responding to the will of God, then the next sign will not simply be felt, it will be seen, as the very clouds above begin to change in ways that no one can deny. 3. Sky changed as if it was alive. No one spoke, because no one understood what they were seeing. In a moment that felt both silent and overwhelming, clouds above began to change color, not slowly, not naturally, but in rapid, unnatural waves, shifting from light to dark, from calm to something heavy and charged, as if the heavens themselves were transforming before human eyes. People stood still, watching as the sky refused to remain stable, and deep within, many felt it. This was not beauty, this was a warning. Witnesses describe how the clouds did not drift as they normally would, but moved with purpose, changing tones again and again, as though something powerful was pressing against the boundary between heaven and earth. The atmosphere felt thick, almost alive, and even without sound, the moment carried a weight that was impossible to ignore, as if something unseen was approaching, drawing closer with every passing second. Some said it felt like the sky was opening. Others said it felt like something was about to break through. Luke 21:25 speaks directly into moments like this. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. These are not distant prophecies. They are living words, describing a time when the heavens themselves begin to shift, when confusion spreads, and when humanity is left searching for answers it cannot find on its own. There were voices that claimed the phenomenon could be explained, that it was nothing more than light scattering, atmospheric pressure, or rare cloud conditions. But such explanations felt hollow to those who stood beneath that sky, because what they experienced was not just visual, it was spiritual. It was a presence, a pressure, a sense that something greater was unfolding beyond human control. When God begins to move, no explanation can fully contain it, and no theory can silence what the heart knows is real. Matthew 24:30 gives an even deeper warning. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. If the heavens are already shifting, already preparing, then these moments may not be isolated at all, but part of a greater unveiling, a sequence of signs leading towards something humanity has been warned about for generations. Some even believe these moments are being ignored, hidden, or dismissed, not because they are insignificant, but because they are too powerful, too unsettling, too difficult to explain away. Because if people begin to truly see, truly understand, then everything changes. Priorities shift, and the illusion of control begins to collapse. And if the clouds themselves are now changing, moving, and signaling that something is drawing near, then the question grows heavier with each passing moment. What is coming, and are we ready to face it? Because the next sign will not just transform the sky, it will take on a form that many will recognize, yet still struggle to accept. 4. Hand reaching down from heaven. What if what people saw in the sky was not just a shape, but the hand of God reaching down toward a world that is no longer listening? In Antioch, California, the clouds suddenly gathered and formed something unmistakable, a massive hand stretching across the sky, its outline clear, deliberate, and impossible to ignore, as if something beyond this world was extending itself toward the earth. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow, and those who looked up felt a deep, unshakable awe, mixed with a fear they could not explain. Witnesses stood frozen as the formation held its shape, not drifting apart like ordinary clouds, but remaining long enough to be seen, recognized, and felt. The fingers appeared defined, the motion almost reaching, as if the heavens themselves were making contact with the world below. There was no sound, no thunder, no storm, only a silent message written across the sky, one that pressed heavily on the hearts of those who saw it, leaving behind a question that could not be easily dismissed. Isaiah 59:1 speaks with powerful clarity. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear is heavy, that it cannot hear. When a hand appears in the heavens, many cannot help but remember that the hand of God has always been a symbol of power, of authority, of intervention, a reminder that he is not distant, but present, watching, and able to act at any moment. Experts were quick to offer explanations, describing it as a rare cloud formation shaped by sunlight and atmospheric conditions. But for many who witnessed it, those words felt empty. Because what they saw did not feel random, it felt intentional. It was not just the shape, but the timing, the stillness, the overwhelming sense that this was not something formed by chance, but something revealed, as if the sky itself had been used as a canvas to deliver a message humanity was meant to see. Exodus 15:6 declares, "Thy right hand, O Lord, is becoming glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy." The hand of God is not just a symbol. It is action. It is authority. It is a force that moves history itself. When something resembling that hand appears in the heavens, it causes many to wonder whether it is a reminder, a warning, or a call to return before it is too late. Some who saw it could not shake the feeling that they were being watched, not in fear alone, but in awareness, as if humanity was being called to pay attention, to stop, to reflect, to recognize that the world is not moving without purpose. Because when the hand of God reaches out, it is never without meaning, it is never without intention. And if a hand can appear in the sky, stretching down toward the earth, then what happens when that presence becomes even clearer? When the signs no longer resemble symbols, but take on a form that the world has known for thousands of years? What many will recognize, yet still struggle to truly believe. But this time, it was no longer just a shape. 5. Burning cross lit the night sky. What if the most powerful symbol in human history suddenly appeared above you? Not in a church, not in a book, but written across the sky by God himself. Just days after the New Year in Brazil, the night was pierced by a radiant light as a massive glowing cross emerged high above, shining with a clarity that silenced those who saw it. It did not flicker, it did not fade quickly. It stood firm, brilliant against the darkness, as if the heavens had opened for a moment to reveal something sacred, something undeniable. Witnesses describe how the cross appeared perfectly formed, not distorted, not vague, but strikingly clear, as if placed intentionally in the sky for all to see. People stopped in the streets, lifted their phones, called out to one another, some in awe, others in fear. Because the moment did not feel ordinary, it felt appointed. There was no storm, no chaos, only a stillness surrounding the light, as if time itself had paused to allow the message to be seen, to be felt, to be remembered. 1 Corinthians 1:18 speaks directly to moments like this for priests. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish of foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of God. The cross has always divided hearts. Some see it as a symbol of salvation, others turn away, unable or unwilling to understand its meaning. But when that same symbol appears in the sky, above all people, it becomes impossible to ignore that the message is not limited to one place. It is being declared to the world. Some called it a blessing, a sign that their town was protected, watched over, covered by the mercy of God. Others felt something deeper, something heavier, a warning hidden within the beauty, because the cross is not only a symbol of grace, it is also a reminder of sacrifice, of judgment, of the cost of sin. It stands as both invitation and warning, and when it appears in the heavens, it forces a question that cannot be avoided. Scientists and observers attempted to explain it through light reflection, atmospheric illusion, or rare alignment, but for many who stood beneath that sky, those explanations felt too small, too empty to contain what they experienced. Because this was not just light, it was presence, it was meaning, it was a moment that reached beyond the eyes and into the soul, leaving behind a weight that no simple explanation could remove. Matthew 24-30 declares a future that echoes through such moments. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. If a cross can appear shining over a city, then what other signs may follow? And how close are they to becoming impossible to deny? And if the cross has now been written across the sky, seen by many yet understood by few, then what happens when the next sign does not come as a symbol but as a form? A figure that countless people will instantly recognize, yet still struggle to truly accept. 6. A figure formed that looked too real. What happens when the sky no longer shows symbols, but reveals a form the world has known for thousands of years? In the United Kingdom, an ordinary day suddenly turned into something unforgettable as people looked up and saw a massive figure taking shape in the sky, a form unmistakably resembling Jesus Christ, radiant, towering, and filled with a light that did not belong to this world. Within seconds, calm turned into urgency as people began running across open fields, drawn toward it, desperate to get closer to something they could not fully understand. Witnesses described the figure as clear and striking, not a vague outline, but a presence formed in light, as if the heavens themselves had carved out an image meant to be seen. The brightness seemed alive, almost breathing, holding its shape long enough for people to recognize it, to react, to feel something shift deep inside them. Some raised their hands, others called out, and many simply stood frozen, overwhelmed by the weight of what they were witnessing, unsure whether they were seeing a blessing or a warning. One man didn't run. He fell to his knees. John 14-9 speaks with powerful clarity. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. For many, the image of Jesus is not just a figure, it is the visible expression of God's presence, a reminder that the divine is not distant, but revealed. When a form like this appears in the sky, it forces a question that goes beyond curiosity. It becomes deeply personal, demanding a response from every heart that sees it. Some tried to explain it as light interacting with clouds, a rare alignment, an illusion shaped by perspective, but those explanations felt fragile compared to the impact of the moment. Because people did not just see something unusual, they felt something, a pull, a presence, an undeniable awareness that what stood before them was not easily dismissed. When the image of Jesus appears, whether in light or in cloud, it does not leave the soul unchanged. Revelation 1-7 declares, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also pierced him." These words carry a weight that echoes through moments like this, suggesting that what people witnessed may not simply be a coincidence, but a glimpse, a reminder, a shadow of something far greater that is yet to come. No one that day could fully explain what they saw, and no one could agree on what it meant. Yet the impact remained heavy, undeniable, and deeply unsettling. Because when a form like that appears in the sky, it does not just pass by, it lingers in the mind, forcing questions that refuse to fade. And just when it seems like the message could not become any clearer, another sign begins to emerge, one that will divide belief even further. 7. A light that divided belief. What happens when a sign appears, and instead of uniting people, it splits them apart? In Alabama, The sky once again became the center of attention, as a radiant formation of light appeared among the clouds, shaping itself into what many immediately recognized as the figure of Jesus. Voices rose at once, some filled with awe, others with doubt, and within moments, what should have been a moment of wonder turned into a storm of debate as people argued over what they were truly seeing. Witnesses pointed to the clarity of the form, the posture, the presence of something that felt unmistakably sacred, while others quickly dismissed it, calling it illusion, projection, or even manipulation. The same image that caused some to praise God brought skepticism to others, revealing not just a division of opinion, but a deeper division of the heart. Because the question was no longer just what appeared in the sky, but who was willing to believe it. 2 Corinthians 4:4 speaks into this divide. In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of those who believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ should shine unto them. When light appears, not all will see it the same way, because belief is not formed by sight alone, but by the condition of the heart. And in moments like this, that truth becomes impossible to hide. Two people stood side by side, looking at the same sky, seeing completely different things. Some explained it through technology, speaking of projections, holograms, even secret programs designed to deceive, while others insisted it was a true sign, a glimpse of something divine breaking through into the visible world. The arguments grew louder than the moment itself. But even in the noise of conflicting voices, one truth remains. When something causes people to question, to argue, to feel unsettled at the deepest level, it often means it has touched something real. Because when God moves, it does not always bring immediate agreement. Sometimes it reveals the separation that already exists within humanity. Hebrews 11:6 quietly reminds us, "But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is." In the end, the question is not whether the light can be explained, but whether the heart is willing to believe, even when certainty cannot be proven. And as the debate continues, one thing becomes clear. The signs are not only appearing, they are testing, revealing, and dividing, preparing the world for what is still to come, a moment that will no longer allow anyone to remain undecided. 8. A presence in the clouds. What if the moment you least expect becomes the moment God chooses to reveal himself to you personally? This time, he wasn't just seen, he was recorded, shared, spread. In the quiet hills of Colombia, a lone hiker made his way home, unaware that his ordinary journey was about to turn into something unforgettable. As he lifted his eyes to the sky, the clouds above began to take shape, slowly forming a figure, so clear, so familiar, that his heart stopped for a moment. It was the image of Jesus, rising from the mist, calm, intentional, and filled with a presence that could not be mistaken. He did not run, he did not question, he simply stood there, overwhelmed, as the figure seemed to move with purpose, not drifting like ordinary clouds, but holding its form as if it had appeared just for him. In that moment, fear faded, replaced by something deeper, a quiet peace, a sense of being seen, known, and held, as if the distance between heaven and earth had suddenly disappeared. What he witnessed was not just something to observe, but something to feel, something that reached beyond the eyes and into the soul. Psalm 34:18 speaks gently into moments like this. "The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit." For some, God reveals himself not in chaos, not in fear, but in stillness, in personal moments where his presence becomes undeniable, not to the world, but to the individual heart that is ready to receive it. Some may say it was only clouds, only imagination shaped by light and distance, but such explanations cannot touch what was experienced in that moment, because the peace was real, the presence was real, and the impact remained long after the image faded. When God chooses to reveal himself, even briefly, it leaves a mark that no explanation can erase. John 14:27 offers a promise that echoes through such encounters. "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you." The peace that filled that moment was not confusion, not fear, but something holy, something that pointed beyond the visible and into the eternal. And while this moment felt deeply personal, almost intimate, it raises a question that cannot be ignored. What happens when such a sign is no longer seen by one person alone, but by an entire community at once? 9. Heavenly sight, witnessed by an entire city. What happens when a sign is no longer seen by one, but by many at the same time? In Naga City, what began as an ordinary day quickly turned into a moment that would be etched into the memory of an entire community. People stopped in the streets, pointed to the sky, called others to look, and within minutes, a crowd had gathered, all witnessing the same overwhelming sight. A massive cloud formation shaping itself into the unmistakable image of Jesus, clear, defined, and impossible to ignore. Voices rose, not in confusion, but in recognition, as phones were lifted, videos recorded, and the same image appeared again and again from different angles, different locations, different eyes, all confirming one undeniable truth. This was not a private vision, not a fleeting illusion, but a shared moment. The sky itself seemed to hold the image in place, as if giving enough time for everyone to see, to react, to understand that something far greater than coincidence was unfolding above them. Romans 1:20 speaks with sobering clarity. For the invisible things of him, from the creation of the world, are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, so that they are without excuse. When a sign becomes visible to many, when it is repeated, recorded, and witnessed across a crowd, it no longer leaves room for easy dismissal. It becomes a testimony that stands on its own. Some still attempted to explain it, speaking of cloud density, light reflection, angles, and perspective. But those explanations began to feel smaller and smaller against the weight of what people had experienced together. Because this was not just about what was seen, but about the unity of the witness, a moment where doubt struggled to survive, under the agreement of many voices all saying the same thing: we saw it. And in that agreement, something deeper began to surface, a realization that perhaps the signs are not only appearing, but increasing, becoming clearer, more direct, more impossible to ignore. Because when God reveals something to one, it can be questioned, but when he reveals it to many, it begins to carry the weight of a message meant for all. Isaiah 5:20 delivers a sharp warning. Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness. In moments like this, the danger is no longer ignorance, but denial, the choice to look directly at what is revealed and still turn away from it. The sky over Naga City did not just display an image, it delivered a message, one that pressed into the hearts of those who saw it, leaving behind not comfort, but conviction. Because when something becomes this clear, this shared, this undeniable, it no longer asks for attention. It demands a response, and not everyone will be ready for what comes after that. 10. A child who saw what others could not. What if the clearest message does not come through the sky, but through the voice of a child? In a quiet moment that did not shake cities or gather crowds, a young boy softly shared something that left those around him speechless. He said he had seen Jesus. There were no flashing lights, no towering clouds, no overwhelming spectacle, only a fragile voice, calm, sincere, and untouched by the need to convince anyone, speaking of a presence that felt more real to him than anything in the world around him. He described what he saw with a peace that could not be imitated, not fear, not confusion, but a quiet certainty, as if what he witnessed was not meant to shock, but to comfort, to remind, to reach hearts in a way that power and spectacle never could. Those who listened felt something shift within them, because it was not just the words, but the purity behind them, a testimony that did not demand belief, yet carried a weight that was difficult to ignore. Matthew 18:3 speaks with profound simplicity. Except ye be converted, and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. In that moment, the message was no longer about signs in the sky or wonders above, but about the condition of the heart, a return to faith that is unguarded, sincere, and open to what cannot be seen with the eyes alone. Some questioned him, searching for logic, for influence, for any reason to explain it away, but the more he spoke, the clearer it became that this was not something constructed. It was something experienced. Because a child does not carry the weight of proving the truth, he simply speaks what he has seen, and leaves the rest to those who are willing to listen. Revelation 20:12 delivers a sobering final truth. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. The books were opened, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. In the end, every sign, every moment, every testimony points toward a single reality: that there will come a time when all will stand before Him, and nothing will remain hidden. What began with fear in the skies now ends with something quieter, deeper, and far more personal. Because when the message reaches a child, pure and unfiltered, it strips away every excuse, every doubt, every delay. And in that stillness, one question remains, not about what has been seen, but about what you will choose to believe before it is too late. 10 signs, different places, one message. A sky turned blood red, crows moved with purpose, clouds refused to remain still, and a hand reached down from the heavens. A cross burned in the night. The image of Jesus appeared in the sky. Light divided belief, peace awakened faith. A city witnessed together, and a child spoke with quiet certainty. Not random moments, but a pattern forming, something that feels too precise, too connected to ignore. These are not isolated events. They form a picture that echoes what has already been written in the Bible. A world being shaken, hearts being tested, and humanity being called to awaken before it is too late. The warnings, the fear, and the moments of peace all point towards something greater, not a distant prophecy, but something unfolding now. This is not a time to delay, but a moment to turn back, to seek God with sincerity, and to prepare your heart. So take a moment right now and ask yourself, are you ready? Have you truly placed your faith in God, or are you still waiting for another sign? If something in you has been stirred, do not ignore it. Pray, even if it is just a whisper, and let that be the beginning. And if you feel led, leave a prayer or your thoughts below, because your words may reach someone who needs it. If this message has opened your eyes even a little, take a second to like, share, and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. The signs are not slowing down, and each one carries a message that may matter more than we realize. Stay aware, stay grounded, and stay close to God. Thank you for being here, and may God bless you and your family with peace, protection, and guidance in the days ahead. Hold on to your faith, because His presence is the only thing that remains unshaken. Amen.
That's insane.
Is it sucking air? Listen.
Hold on, let me zoom.
It's just
Yeah. No thunder though.
it's getting brighter. Head, robe, everything.
It's like it's watching us. Like,
What if the world isn't falling apart, but being warned? What if the things we've been calling coincidences are actually signs, and we're running out of time to understand them? In a flash of lightning, a massive shadow figure appears and vanishes, as if something unseen is walking among us, while from the sky, worms suddenly rain down, covering streets and shocking everyone who sees it. Animals begin circling in perfect patterns as if controlled. The sky pulses with an unnatural glow like a signal, and somewhere else, a massive opening appears, like a portal tearing through reality before disappearing without a trace. A dark monolith stands silent and cold, while figures resembling angels appear in mist and light, watching without a word. Above it all, the clouds begin to change. They form into something unmistakable, angels, and even the image of Jesus Himself, leaving those who witness it shaken, overwhelmed, unable to explain what they've just seen. Different places, different moments, yet somehow everything feels connected, like pieces of a much bigger picture we are only beginning to see, and something about it doesn't feel right. If you saw this with your own eyes, would you ignore it or start asking questions? Are these just coincidences, or is something trying to get our attention? Stay with us, because what comes next, you need to see for yourself. 1. A glimpse of Nephilim. What if the storm is not just a storm, but a moment when the veil is pulled back? In a flash of lightning, a massive, shadowy figure appears, towering and unmistakable, then vanishes just as quickly, leaving behind a silence heavier than the thunder itself. It doesn't feel like an illusion or coincidence, but something intentional, as if a hidden presence revealed itself for a split second, reminding us how little we truly see. The Word of God has never been silent about such beings, and Scripture does not describe them as myths or symbols, but as reality that once walked openly among humanity. In Genesis 6-4, it is written, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." This is not vague. It is precise. It is deliberate. It tells us that giants were real, that they existed before the flood, and, more importantly, that they existed also afterward, a phrase that echoes with unsettling clarity. God did not include these words without purpose, because everything written in Scripture carries weight, carries truth, carries warning, and if they existed after, then the possibility that they exist now cannot be dismissed so easily. And if God is allowing even a glimpse of such a presence to be seen, then it is not meaningless. It is not accidental. It is a sign aligned with what has already been spoken. In Luke 21:11, it is written, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven." Fearful events, not hidden in secret, but revealed before the eyes of humanity, so that those who are willing to see may understand that these are not ordinary times. God in His sovereignty controls what is revealed and what is concealed, and when something like this appears, even for a second, it is because it serves a purpose within His greater plan, a plan that humanity often ignores until it is too late. This is not just a shadow in the storm. This is a confrontation with truth, a reminder that the spiritual realm is not distant, not inactive, but present, powerful, and governed entirely by the authority of God. Nothing moves without His knowledge. Nothing appears without His permission. And if something like this is seen now, it is because the time we are living in is drawing closer to what Scripture has already declared. The fear that people feel is not misplaced, because deep within there is a recognition, a realization that what is happening is not normal, not random, but part of something far greater than human understanding. So what did that lightning truly reveal? Just a shadow, or something real, something ancient, something watching? And if the storm can expose what walks unseen, then what comes next may be even harder to explain. 2. Worms falling from the sky. What falls from the sky is no longer just rain. It is a sign that cannot be ignored, a moment where the natural order seems to bend under a higher authority. And what descends is not life-giving water, but worms, covering cars, streets, clinging to every surface, as if the heavens themselves have released something meant to disturb, to confront, to awaken. People stand frozen, unable to process what they are seeing, because this is not how the world is supposed to work. This is not what they have been taught to expect, and yet it is happening, undeniable, overwhelming, leaving behind a deep and unsettling question. When the sky itself changes, who is truly in control? The answer has always been clear in the Word of God, because creation has never been independent. It has always been under His command, responding to His will, obeying His voice without hesitation. In Exodus 8:16, 1:7, it is written, "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust off the ground. And throughout the land of Egypt, the dust will become gnats.'" They did this. And when Aaron stretched out his hand with the staff and struck the dust off the ground, gnats came on people and animals. This was not coincidence, not chance, but a direct act of God, transforming what was ordinary into